People are done with the trans thing. They've had enough of it. Your attempt to gaslight everybody into the opposition of this truth builds resentment. This whole, they're just kind of regular people like you and me, but happen to dress up like with. No, that's not really what's going on. You've unleashed an entire fleet of mentally ill lunatics on the public, and now we have to deal with the fallout of it.
When it comes to the major Democratic donors, or any donor who's like, I don't know, what do the Democrats even stand for? I agree. What do they stand for? What is their identity? People are struggling in this country. If the plan is to jump into culture wars again and just swim in the waters of culture wars and think that's gonna carry you through, it's not gonna work. You need to address the actual problems Americans are facing in this country.
Shout out to Andrew Wilson. And it's not just that. The Democrat Party on the whole has failed because they don't know what a woman is, because they don't support any policies that people actually support. Majority of people, even the dumb, crazy people, don't support open borders. Only like a select few of crazies support that. Democrats have become somehow pro-crime, pro-war, all the things that they never stood for before. The vast majority of people voting Democrat these days is just out of habit, just out of essentially being little puppets, not being aware of what's going on, doing a little teeny tiny modicum of research without actually knowing the truth about what's going on. And now you have even woke behind Anna Kasparian and crazy, angry, needs some freaking anger management, Cenk Uygur out here calling the radical left Democrats out, because even the progressive types that they got in powerful positions are not being particularly helpful. So without further ado, let's go ahead and react to them melting down, saying that, hey, we don't know what the hell this party stands for anymore.
The Democratic National Committee is struggling to raise money, and that's according to a new bombshell report in Politico. And it also turns out that the Democratic establishment is still paying off expenses from Kamala Harris's failed presidential run.
Wow.
So this story is amazing. I highly recommend you read it. Again, it's in Politico, but here's what they're reporting. By the end of June, the Republican National Committee had $80 million on hand, compared to just $15 million for the Democratic National Committee. Oof. Now, we should note that other parts of the Democratic establishment or apparatus aren't having the exact same problems. So for instance, Democrats and Republicans have about the same amount of cash in their House and Senate campaign arms, which is important because we're getting closer to the midterm election and that's what matters the most. So what's going on with the DNC specifically? Well, according to Politico, major Democratic donors have withheld money this year amid skepticism about the party's direction, while the small dollar donors, who have long been a source of strength, are not growing nearly enough to make up the gap.
Well, yeah, this is what happens when you spend nearly $2 billion on a presidential campaign, failing miserably, and you hide the cognitive decline of the sitting president at the time. I would be a little skeptical about donating money to you as well.
And look, when it comes to the major Democrat,
I mean, this is low-key like financial fraud, guys. I mean, this is totally ridiculous.
Donors, or any donor who's like, I don't know, what do the Democrats even stand for? I agree. What do they stand for? What is their identity? What is the Democratic Party fighting for? What are their values? I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Well, Sunny Holston says she wanted them to be a opposition party.
I've said it over and over again. This is not about being a resistance party. That's very passive. This is about being an opposition party. They don't know how to fight and be part of an opposition party. Representative Green gave them the example that the Democratic Party is actually an opposition party at this point, not a resistance party.
So basically, as long as we oppose Trump, then we're happy. This is what a bitter old hag looks like, guys.
You know, Governor Beshear recently accompanied Hakeem Jeffries at a fundraiser. Axios wrote about it, and the one line that apparently got a big round of applause from the donors was something about how he vetoed an anti-trans bill in his state. And what I'm worried about is that we're just gonna get the same tactics, the same type of campaigning that's already failed from the Democrats. Okay.
So what they're saying is, and apologies, I got to interrupt for the copyrights, guys. So for those who don't understand YouTube, you can't just watch the video and just post it. You have to have your own content, and this is as close as you can get. Whenever we're asking the question, why do the politicians support woke nonsense? It's because the donors appear to support a bunch of woke nonsense. If you don't get money from the donors, you have nothing. And what they're trying to do is get the money, spend it to try to convince you and everybody else to support whatever woke nonsense that they come up with. So effectively, you got two different groups that are at odds. You got actual voters, and then you got donors, and these two are not on the same page. That's why the Democrats are failing. It all makes sense to me.
People are struggling in this country. If the plan is to jump into culture wars again and just swim in the waters of culture wars and think that's gonna carry you through, it's not gonna work. You need to address the actual problems Americans are facing in this country.
I still say avoid the culture wars, because if that's your main thing that you're gonna get run on, we're gonna run into a brick wall. Like, that's not winning ground. And I mean, I don't know what that bill was. So maybe if it was about bathrooms or military, whatever it is, maybe it is winning ground, right? Because it depends on the particular issue. But much more importantly, what is your vision for America?
For America.
And look, protect everyone, including trans people, Muslims, black folks, everyone, okay? But yes, that's table stakes, guys. Wanting equality and justice is table stakes. What do you want beyond that?
Right.
What is your economic vision? What is your vision to improve the lives of American citizens?
Well, I think that they have something. It's just that a lot of people don't want it. They have communism. That's what they want. A lot of people don't want that. People want to feel like, hey, I can be rich one day and all my money's not going to be taken. Of course, if you're broke as heck, then people don't care if they just take all their money and then just give it to you or whoever else. But if you're one of the people that's actually made your come up, you've worked hard all your life, and now you actually have something, you don't want somebody to just come and take it and where it means nothing. You don't want to be in a tax bracket to where they're taking 60, 70, 80% of everything that you earn. The only stuff that they ever get votes on is really a bunch of lies. Well, Orange Man is bad and he's racist and he's a bigot and he's the Nazi dictator. So vote for us because even though you don't even like our policies, this man is evil. So just vote against him. That's really all that they could run on because their policies suck ass.
And the reality is that the Democrats are stuck in purgatory. And so they can't raise money from the big donors because the big donors say, well, I didn't get my return on investment. I gave you a whole bunch of money and you guys ran terrible campaigns and kept getting clowned by a guy with an IQ of 70. So what am I wasting my money for? I get it, right? I'll come back to the donors because that one's way more nuanced, okay? There's plenty of nuance, plenty of non-nuance. Anyway, then when you come to the grassroots says, well, you're not representing me at all. Why would I give you money?
Exactly.
Right? So now the big donors aren't giving you money and the small donors aren't giving you money. And that's why you have almost no money left.
If they decide to go with their corporate donors, the big money donors, you have to play by the big money donors' rules.
Yes.
And the voters are represented by the small dollar donors. So the biggest problem for Kamala Harris in the presidential election wasn't that she couldn't raise enough money. She raised a record amount of money. She spent, it was $20 billion on that election, right?
First, there was a giant amount of money. They haven't fully tallied it yet, but that wasn't all her. She spent, I think, a couple of $1 billion.
Oh, it was 2 billion, my bad.
Right, but overall, the entire campaign, the accounting's not fully done, but the last campaign that wasn't even presidential, they spent 17 billion in the whole cycle.
Exactly, yeah.
Right,
okay.
So in her case, she spent, I think, if I remember right, about 2 billion.
$2 billion for her, so listen, you can raise all the money in the world, but if you are basically forced to serve the interests of the rich and powerful, well, your campaign is not going to appeal to Democratic voters. So this whole obsession with raising money, I get it. I get that you're gonna need money to run ads and all of that. But what's more important is to not be, essentially hindered by all of these demands by the donors who don't represent the interests of the voters. This is a unique problem to the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party, the Democratic voters want something different in terms of economic policy from what the Republican voters want. But I just feel like the Democratic Party just doesn't realize this. And by the way, even with all the money that Kamala Harris raised, she left with a massive debt that the DNC has been paying back.
Well, guys, I think it's even more simple than what the donors want. What it's really about is that these politicians do not care about the things that they're claiming to care about. They know what the people are asking for. They're not stupid in that they don't know. They do know. It's just that they don't care. They've had supermajority before where they could have passed true criminal justice reform. They could have had stricter gun laws if they really wanted. They could have passed additional health care reforms. They could have saved Social Security and Medicaid. There's all kinds of stuff that the Democrats could do. Reparations. But they never do any of that stuff, and they promise it every election. What gets me, one of the reasons I question a lot of the voters is I'm like, how many times can you see people like fail miserably, keep promising you the same thing, have the ability to deliver, blame Republicans when they can't deliver, and then say, hey, vote for me again? Let's say even with what the Democrats said was true, that it's somehow the Republicans' fault for the Democrats' failure to deliver over and over again. Well, if that's the case, why the hell even show up to vote for Democrats anyway? If the Republicans just gonna get in the way and just block everything, effectively you're just putting people in power so that they can just complain about everything and how they can't do anything every time, which also is stupid. I don't want losers. I pick winners. That's why I picked President Trump, because he knows how to get stuff done. The guy was getting more stuff done in like 30 days than the whole Biden administration. But guys, what do you think? Do you think it is the issue of the donors? Do you think it's that they want open borders? Do you think it's that the Democrats are pro-crime? Do you think it's because they don't know what a woman is and that they have effectively degraded what it means to be a woman by saying a dude in a dress is a woman? I don't know, guys. I mean, at a certain point, I can't support a bunch of BS, guys. I can't do it. I feel like I'm stupid if I support men in dresses and calling them women, and boys in the girls' locker rooms, and open borders and being pro-crime. That sounds stupid as hell. How could you support it? How? Just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching The Black Anomaly. Rise. I'm out.
You have done it to yourself. Like most of these things, the left does it to themselves. It's very obvious. People are not going to accept this. The trans agenda has stalled, and it stalled out the LGBTQ agenda with it, because you're trying to gaslight people into something which is obviously not true.